You're watching Jax PBS More, WJCT Jacksonville.
The School Board of the Duval County School District is now convened in its regular monthly meeting. To everyone present and to our television viewers, I wish to extend a warm welcome to this meeting of the Duval County School Board. The vision statement of the Duval County School Board states, "Every student is inspired and prepared for success in college or a career and life." The mission statement of the Duval County School Board is to provide educational excellence in every school, in every classroom, for every student, every day. The Duval County School Board is here tonight to listen to reports from district staff and to set policy for the district that will improve student achievement. We will also address budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and other business items that require a vote of the board. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. It is not the role of the board to make managerial or operational decisions. The board has policies and procedures in place to assist the superintendent in resolving management and operational issues. If items appear to move quickly, it is because the board meets in an agenda committee meeting prior to the board meeting for an in-depth review of all agenda items. The committee meeting for the October 5th, 2021 school board meeting will be held on September 21st, 2021 at 9 a.m. and the public is invited to attend. As a show of courtesy and respect to each other, we ask that all mobile phones be turned off and that no flash photography be used during the meeting. For those wishing to address the board during our public comments portion of the board meeting, please note that we will accept speaker cards until 6:20 p.m. In an effort to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19, we have placed hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes at the podium. We ask that each speaker wipe down the microphone and podium before you address the board. The CDC currently recommends that facial coverings are worn while in public if you are in an area of substantial or high transmission, regardless of vaccination status. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the operation of the Duval County School District. Board members, I invite you to stand for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will have our school presentation from District 1. Our principal from Lake Lucina Elementary, Principal Michelle Walsh.
Hello, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Michelle Walsh. I'm the proud principal of Lake Lucina Elementary Bulldogs. This is our assistant principal, Ms. Latrice Suddet, my dynamic duo, and we're excited to be the first school for the school year to be highlighted at our board meetings. And Dr. Kelly Cooker-Daniel invited us, so thank you very much, and Dr. Green. And we can't wait to highlight the great things at Lake Lucina because we're so much more than academics. We are one of those true community schools, and if you didn't know it, we have that.
Thank you so much, Principal Walsh.
Thank you.
Dr. Coker, do you have any words I'm sure that you would like to share?
Yes, we no doubt keep it happy in District 1, so thank you for conveying that. And Assistant Superintendent Pierce in the back, I'm glad to see that we have that in District 1, and thank you for your leadership on that theme. I just wanted, when they asked what school, Lake Lucina just always makes me smile. It's one of those schools that is a bright spot in the Arlington community. Michelle Walsh has been just an incredible talent in our district. She has gone into heavy lift schools and she has changed the culture and the academics of every school that she has served. I'm looking at other board members because she's been in your districts as well, but we're going to keep her in District 1 for right now. Ms. Suddeth is an incredible assistant principal who is just an incredibly bright spot in the Arlington community as well. And the teachers at Lake Lucina are just deeply committed. For those that aren't aware of all the changes that have happened in Arlington, but Arlington has struggled the last couple of years. And while I'm grateful to them for their leadership in moving the school forward, what I'm even more grateful for is when I'm at community events and faith-based partnership meetings and whatnot, is that despite all that's going on in Arlington, Lake Lucina is just this point of pride in the Arlington community. Everyone wants to tell me, my daughter goes there and they love their teachers, or my niece or my nephew or my aunt went there and my child's going to go there, and this, that, and the other. And so thank you to the two of you. Thank you for the teachers that serve with you for making such a bright spot in the Arlington community, and for always, again, keeping it happy. We are grateful to you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I always love seeing our schools be highlighted. I missed that this summer. All right, up next we have Miss Vicki Pierre for presentations this evening.
Whether they're running special programs, serving as leaders, or doing exceptional work in the classroom, these next 4 teachers have something in common: a commitment to economic and financial education. So much so they're being recognized as among the best in the state. We begin by honoring 3 district recipients of the Regional Economic Educator and Leadership, or REAL Award, as well as our own Charles C. Harper Economic Educator of the Year. First, we'll begin with our REAL Award recipients. They are Asia Hutchings of Rutledge Pearson Elementary School, Felicia Jackson O'Neill of Jean Rabeau High School, who is not able to join us but is being represented by Principal Bostic, and Dr. Keisha Walton of Sandalwood High School. These awards are given by the Florida Council of Economic Education. The purpose is to honor those who work to bring economics, personal finance, entrepreneurship, and free enterprise education to our youth. Ms. Hutchings has distinguished herself for introducing her elementary students to concepts like savings and helps them learn about different career paths. Ms. Jackson O'Neill, who just retired from the district, spent years facilitating the ViStar Academy at Ribault. And finally, Dr. Walton, she mentors young women ages 13 to 17 through Girls Incorporated, teaching them about financial literacy and financial planning, as well as helping them form relationships in the community. As for the Charles Harper Economic Educator of the Year, that goes to Eric Fields of Mandarin High School. This award honors one outstanding K-12 educator who is considered, quote, an advocate for economic and personal finance education who seamlessly integrates it into their coursework. Mr. Fields is earning this honor after many years of leadership in economic education, which includes serving as a teacher mentor, an AP microeconomics reading table leader, and a leader of workshops for the Foundation of Teaching Economics. His students regularly place high in state and national competitions, and he holds 2 master's degrees, one that he finished over the summer. All of these awards come with special prizes, including a $200 Amazon gift card for our REAL Award winners and a $1,000 stipend for Mr. Fields, and they're all being presented with a Superintendent's Coin of Excellence from Dr. Green. Please help us congratulate our REAL Award winners and our Economic Educator of the Year.
Smile.
It was a first of its kind institute, giving our students a unique insight into our local history. We now wish to honor a sponsor that not only helped our students look the part, but also made their experience that much more rewarding. That sponsor is the Players Championship PGA Tour, and their contributions were toward the district's first ever African American History Summer Writing Institute. Hundreds of high school students applied, but it was 80 who were selected to participate in this 3-week program. Their task was to tell the story of our city's African American history with the goal of providing curriculum for our teachers. Their time was spent hearing from guest speakers, visiting historical sites, conducting interviews, and doing research. In the end, they presented their findings and curriculum to their peers and leaders. Thanks to the Players PGA Tour, students received both expertise and a distinguished look. A $1,000 donation ensured that each student received the program's signature gray embroidered polo free of cost. And Vice President of Community and Inclusion, Marsha Oliver, also donated her time in conducting a presentation guiding students on how they could better conduct their research, and she is here with us this evening. We're also joined by two students who participated in this summer's institute, Mika Fertil of Mandarin High School and Lauren Ray of Rains High School. And as an expression of gratitude, they presented Ms. Oliver with a framed photo signed by all of the students, as well as 2 t-shirts, the gray polo that they wore this summer, as well as one that they designed. And I believe at least one student has a few words that they'd like to share.
The African American History Writing Institution was a project that had an impact on my life bigger than I thought it would be. Throughout the weeks of learning about history, I'd been oblivious to what was right in front of me in this city. I got the project of researching La Villa, which is a neighborhood that was nicknamed the Harlem of the South, and was also the epitome of a bunch of the history that happened. I remember the interviews I got to do with amazing people, and the late nights I spent researching, caught up in all the books that I found out new information from. The moment that resonated with me was being in the cafeteria the last day and seeing everybody being excited about having their projects, and also our teachers and our community members feeling proud of our projects as well. I've met great people and had great opportunities from the program. One of the biggest things that resonated with me was my new outlook on Jacksonville, the rich African American history in our city, and a yearning to look deeper and educate myself and my peers on the history that's just around us.
Good evening. I would like to thank Duval County Public Schools for accepting me into the African American Writing Institute. The project I selected was Axe Handle Saturday. Truly stood out to me. It made me really proud of the city I was born and raised in. To really know people fought to be here, who would have thought Jacksonville had such a significant history? I truly believe everything was hidden from the public eye to downplay everything that African Americans experienced. But now we can finally tell the true story for those who still have yet to learn about it. Coming into this program, I was afraid because I wasn't quite sure what I would be getting myself into. However, it was one of the best decisions I had made in my life. The program as a whole really took me out of my comfort zone and really taught me more about my history that I had no idea even existed. I would highly recommend anyone to do this program. The teachers are very welcoming and caring. They truly show you that it is a safe place that you are entering. All in all, this Writing Institute will really bring the community together as a whole by educating them about what went on. Thank you.
And we're also joined this evening by Tamla Simmons, the summer program coordinator. Please help us thank the Players PGA Tour for their generous support of our students and the first ever African American History Summer Writing Institute. For our final presentation, we're celebrating our African American History Task Force earning exemplary status. With us are former Senator Tony Hill, chair of Florida's State African American History Task Force, Dr. Bernadette Kelly Brown of Florida A&M University, and lead evaluator for the state's task force, and Dr. Donna Austin of Choir Consulting, coordinator for our accreditation process. And we will turn the mic over to former Senator Hill.
Good evening to the chairperson and the members of the school board. This is a high honor for us in the task force. My madam, our lead investigator, took Brother Jones, she took the certificate that I was going to read, so I didn't read it. But now we know. Thank you, Dr. Austin. So again, we have here joining us today is Dr. Austin, who is a part of the task force. Also, Tracy Oliver is a member of our task force. And then we have our lead investigator, we call her the guru, Dr. Bernadette Kelly, who has, I asked her a few minutes ago, board, how many teachers do you think went through the School of Education at FAMU? No, I said, how many teachers around the state, Superintendent, you think came from Jacksonville? She said Jacksonville was number one, then Broward County and Dade County. And we are just excited about being here tonight to renew what we call exemplary status on African American history, K through 12. When we served in the legislature, we had an opportunity to pass this in 1994. And this has really been a yeoman's job of expressions to be now the chair of the committee for the state of Florida. And we'd like to present to the superintendent tonight for picking the ball up and running with it and making sure that Duval County not only are exemplary status, but is renewed for 5 years. So this will be up for renewal again in 2026. Again, I just heard the Summer Institute, but I could not go by or leave this podium without thanking Dr. Kushner and, of course, Kenneth Reddick. Mr. Reddick, I went to him and asked, could you lean on the superintendent to get this done? He said, Tony, so I'm going to do better now. I'm going to get you a meeting with the superintendent. And then Dr. Kushner, she was in there taking corporate notes and everything, but really this summer we took the school district to a whole new level. Brother Jones, when we went to some of the workshops, some of the kids didn't know who R.V. Daniel was. They didn't know who Mary McLeod Bethune was, and didn't know who A. Philip Randolph was, but they pressed forth with the assignments, and we are just excited about being a part of that this summer. But more importantly, Superintendent Green, we want to thank you for taking the baton and running with it, and we look forward to continue on behalf of the Florida African American History Task Force under the leadership of Department of Education Commissioner Cochran to renew you for 5 years. Thank you.
And so here tonight on behalf of the force are Dr. Krisner, Mr. Kenneth Reddick, Aaron Conklin, Tylena Robinson, Washington, Paula Renfro, and Tracy Oliver, and finally the students you saw earlier this evening. They would also like to present Senator Hill, Dr. Kelly Brown, and Dr. Austin with a special gift, the shirt they designed, as well as a copy of the district's latest African American History Curriculum Guide. Please help us congratulate our African American History Task Force for earning exemplary status.
Smile wide, Paula.
This concludes this evening's presentations.
Thank you so much. We are now on to the approval of the September 7th, 2021 agenda. That the Duval County School Board approve the September 7th, 2021 agenda as submitted on August 31st, 2021 with the following changes. Communications, board members, FSBA Master Board, item withdrawn. Administration and Business Services, budget and financial. Annual financial report inclusive of cost report, attachment added. Administration and Business Services, budget and financial, summary audit report, item withdrawn. Administration and Business Services, budget and financial, 2021-2022 audit plan, internal auditing, item withdrawn. I ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Coker, seconded by Board Member Jones. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote.
Board members, are you having a hard time seeing the vote?
I voted twice.
You voted twice?
I mean, it came up twice.
I haven't seen it at all.
Mine didn't come up.
Came up for me.
Can we register a hand vote?
It came up once for me.
Came up once for me.
It came up once for me.
We're going to register a voice vote. Board Member Hershey?
Yes.
Coker?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
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 By your action, you have approved the agenda 7-0. Moving on to the chair report this evening. It's been a busy month. I just wanted to provide an opportunity to update the public on our masking requirements. We did receive a letter from the commissioner. And Ms. Mayers, I wanted to ask if you would please read the letter we received, and then I'll read our response.
Okay, the letter received is dated August the 27th, 2021. I believe it was received by the district on August the 30th, 2021. It's addressed to Superintendent Green and Chair Anderson and reads as follows. This letter is sent to express my grave concern regarding your district's response to the recently adopted Emergency Rule 64 DER 2112 from the Florida Department of Health. This rule, issued on August the 6th, 2021 by the Florida Surgeon General, Dr. Scott Ribkes, explicitly requires that any mandated mask policy imposed by a district or school, quote, must allow for a parent or legal guardian of the student to opt out the student from wearing a face covering or mask, end quote. The emergency rule does not require parents to submit medical documentation in order to opt out. Executive Order 21-175 directed the Florida Department of Health and the Florida Department of Education to execute rules to ensure safety protocols for controlling the spread of COVID-19 in schools. The order directs further that any such action must, quote, at a minimum be in accordance with the Florida Parents' Bill of Rights and protect parents' right to make decisions regarding masking of their children in relation to COVID-19, end quote. Because the Florida Department of Health, under Section 1003.22, subsection 3 Florida statutes, is the agency authorized to adopt rules governing the control of communicable diseases, the Florida Department of Health adopted an emergency rule establishing protocols for controlling COVID-19 in public schools. The rule provides in part as follows. Students may wear masks or facial coverings as a mitigation measure. However, the school must allow for a parent or legal guardian of the student to opt out the student from wearing a face covering or mask. Rule 64 DER 2112, subsection 1D, Florida Administrative Register, volume 47, number 153, August 9th, 2021. Recent reports in the media indicate that the Duval School Board has taken action inconsistent with the emergency rule by limiting or conditioning the parental ability to opt out of a face covering or mask mandate. Section 1008.32 Florida statute states, quote, the State Board of Education shall oversee the performance of district school boards and the Florida College System Institution Board of Trustees in enforcement of all laws and rules, end quote. Further, Section 1008.32 subsection 2A Florida statute states that the Commissioner of Education may investigate allegations of noncompliance with law or State Board rule and determine probable cause. Based on this authority, I'm immediately initiating an investigation of noncompliance with the rule adopted by the Florida Department of Health on August the 6th, 2021. In commencing this investigation, I am demanding that you provide a written response by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, documenting how your district is complying with Florida Department of Health Emergency Rule 64 DER 2112. Should you fail to document full compliance with this rule in accordance with Section 1008.32 Florida statutes, I intend to recommend to the State Board of Education that the department withhold funds in an amount equal to the salaries for all the members of the school board, as well as other sanctions authorized by law, until the district comes into compliance. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the upbringing, education, and care of their minor children. The Department of Education will protect that right. Sincerely, Richard Corcoran, Commissioner.
Thank you, Ms. Mary. Thank you, Ms. Mayers. I appreciate that. It is certainly my intention to make sure that we keep the public and our community in full transparency with the moves that we are making as a board. And as such, I wanted to take a moment to read to you the response sent by myself and Dr. Green on behalf of the board. Dear Commissioner Corcoran, this letter is in response to your August 27th, 2021 demand for a written response documenting how the Duval County School Board is complying with Florida Department of Health Emergency Rule 64 DER 21-12. As an initial matter, the Duval County School Board is in compliance with the rule. The Duval County School Board passed its own emergency rule regarding face coverings, known as the mask policy, in light of dangerous and startling health conditions in its school district and the local community. The Duval County School Board first considered a mask policy at its August 3rd, 2021 meeting. Since school had not yet started, the Duval County School Board implemented a mask policy that it felt would sufficiently balance the safety of students with parents' ability to opt students out of wearing masks. The policy strongly encouraged students to wear masks, but allowed parents and guardians to opt students out of wearing a mask for any reason. However, once school started on August 10th, 2021, additional facts and evidence came to light, such as that it became clear that allowing unconstrained opt-outs presented a clear and present danger to staff and students. It was then decided to revisit the mask issue at the board's August 23rd, 2021 meeting. At the August 23rd, 2021 meeting, the Duval County School Board enacted its current mask policy requiring all students to wear masks with an opt-out described more fully below. Because there were over 800 COVID-19 cases with the district after the first 10 days of school, excuse me. This number represented over 30% of total cases from the entire 2020-2021 school year. After 3 weeks of school, there are now over 1,600 COVID-19 cases in the district, which represents 65% of the total cases from last year. Moreover, 11 district employees have died of COVID-19 related complications since the beginning of the 2020-21 school year. In addition, the Duval County Health Department is unable to complete the contact tracing on all of the positive cases arising in the district. As of August 23rd, 2021, the Duval County Health Department had only been able to close out of 106 out of the 895 cases. Cases which have been closed out are those where the Duval County Health Department has been able to complete contact tracing to ensure students and staff who have been exposed to COVID-19 are properly notified of their exposure. Therefore, a significant number of students and staff who were and are being exposed to COVID-19 are not being quarantined, which further contributes to rampant spread of COVID-19. There was abundant testimony at prior meetings and workshops of the Duval County School Board, as well as at the Duval County School Board's August 23rd, 2021 meeting about the critical and compelling need for students and staff to wear masks in an effort to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Representatives from the Duval County Health Department, physicians from the local pediatric hospital, and many other licensed healthcare workers were adamant about the need for everyone to wear face coverings while inside a school or administrative building. In the face of such testimony and the rapid and widespread increase of infections, the Duval County School Board was compelled to take action to protect the health of students and staff and create the best opportunity for our children to continue in-person education this school year. The Duval County School Board is not relying solely on masks to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. It is implementing a multi-layered approach to providing all feasible COVID-19 mitigation measures. It was not and is not the intent of the Duval County School Board to violate any lawful rule of the Board of Education or the Department of Health. Indeed, the Duval County School Board's mask policy complies with the Department of Health's emergency rule. As your letter appropriately states, the rule requires an option for a parent or legal guardian of the student to opt out the student from wearing a face covering or mask, and the Duval County School Policy does exactly this. Paragraph 2 of the mask policy provides for opt-out exemptions. As the emergency rule requires, this paragraph provides methods for parents to opt students out of wearing a mask with a medical certification from a licensed health care provider that the student has a medical, physical, or psychological condition that prevents the student from being able to safely wear a facial covering. The opt-out form is 1 page and requires only 2 signatures. It is not onerous. The Department of Health rule does not state the opt-out must be unlimited or otherwise prevent schools from establishing parameters for the opt-out. In a further effort to use reasonable and necessary actions that are narrowly tailored to further its compelling state interest, the Duval County School Board also provided a generous lead time for parents and guardians to opt out before the mask policy goes into effect. The mask policy was approved by the Duval County School Board on August 23, 2021, but it does not go into effect until September 7, 2021. This provided parents and guardians 2 weeks to obtain the necessary signatures to opt out if appropriate. In addition, the mask policy is temporary in nature. It is only in effect for 90 days and can be automatically suspended by the superintendent without board approval should certain health data points be met. The data points will be determined in consultation with the Florida Department of Health and local physicians based on transmission rates in the community. These measures and the ones cited above comply with both the emergency rule and the Parents' Bill of Rights. Duval County School Board is committed to providing safe and in-person education this school year. Signed sincerely, Dr. Diana Green and Elizabeth Anderson, Board Chair. It is clear that there are so many sincere and well-meaning people that disagree on this. We have heard from hundreds, if not thousands of you, and it looks like there's even more than 2 sides to this particular issue. But it is our responsibility to operate, control, and supervise free public schools for 115,000 plus students and 13,000 plus staff members in our community. Keeping our schools open for teaching and learning, being good stewards of your tax dollars, and supporting our families by providing a safe and nurturing environment for children to learn and grow is our only priority. So I thank you for being here this evening. I know the superintendent has some updates that she'd like to provide as well, so I'll turn it over to her for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the superintendent's report, we're going to talk about 2 items. As I did every month last year, we gave an update where we were as it relates to COVID. And because we haven't been together since the beginning of the school year, I'm going to give an update on enrollment. There's a slide that got out of place. Anyway, this is the DCPS case comparison. The blue line down at the bottom were our cases each week from last school year. The the orange bars represent our cases for each week that we've been in school this year. We started the first week with 81 cases, second week 507, third week 699, and the fourth week 673. Thousand of our students were learning remotely at the beginning of the school year. So we are about 32,000 more students in brick and mortar at the beginning of the school year than we were last year. So looking at our
Please
DCPS,
be respectful. Thank you.
Looking at our DCPS testing comparisons for our employees, last year at this time, the first 4 weeks, as you can see, the gray bar represents the number of individuals who tested. The blue bar represents the positives. So the first 4 weeks of last year, we had still a large number of employees test, but only 5 tested positive. Very different this year, 2021, the first 4 weeks, we've had over close to 50 individuals test positive. As you can see, the largest day was week 3. We had 58 that tested negative and 14 that tested positive. Classroom and school closures. This year, we've had a total of 76 total classrooms. Classroom closures are for elementary, and we've closed 3 secondary schools. As you can see, the largest number for class closures are 4th and 5th grade. We had 3 schools, Baldwin Junior Senior High, Ed White High School, and Fletcher Middle School, I believe. Those were the 3 schools that have closed this year. So when we look, and I'm now going to have to backtrack how that slide got out of order, not sure. But as we look at the rolling positivity rate, the black line represents every single day since the beginning of August, the daily positivity rate. The blue line represents the rolling average. So as you can see, we started close to 25% positivity rate, and as of the end of last week, we're hovering between 14 and 13% positivity rate. This information is important because in your executive order, emergency order, you indicated that the superintendent would bring a recommendation of a suspension of the mask requirement. That recommendation is based on this data, the rolling positivity rate. And so you have for approval tonight, or recommended approval for tonight, is that when the district or our community reaches moderate, right now we are still considered high because it's over 10%. Substantial would be anything between 8 to 9.99%, and moderate, which would be a rolling average of between 5 and 7.99%. I do not want to indicate any timeline, but when you look at the chart, if we continue in this progression, the goal is to get to moderate. And at that time, we will suspend the mask requirement. So that is what is on the agenda this evening related to the emergency order, was the request to bring, and I did it in consultation with the Department of Health. Even though we have the medical advisory committee, that advisory committee actually wanted to go to low, but we went with the Department of Health with moderate. That designation between 5.0 and 7.99. So if we look at enrollment trends from the beginning of the school year, we are hovering now at a little over 128,463 students. This was as of Friday, September 3rd. Traditional, these are students in brick and mortar, 103,779. DVIA, our district virtual school, 3,714. And charter schools, 20,970. If you look at it by school board member district, this is related, the enrollment difference from last spring. So you'll see the numbers, District 6 plus 97. Remember, enrollment really starts to settle down in the next couple of weeks. I anticipate some of these areas continuing to improve in their enrollment. To break it down further, from the spring survey, this was in February, our enrollment for compared to the 19th day of enrollment, which was Friday. The traditional schools had 107,566. This was at a point where we started bringing more and more students back to brick and mortar, so the enrollment started picking up. The enrollment starting on day 19, 107,493. Although you're seeing minuses, in reality, they're going to be pluses because you're comparing in the spring when we were in more as it relates to COVID, it was like 1 or 2% rate. So we had more and more students coming back to school versus now where we're still hovering at about 13%. So here's the data that shows our enrollment has grown from where it was this time last fall. So this time last fall, we were at 106,522 students in traditional schools. This, on the 19th day, we're over 107,493 students, which is a plus of 971 students. That's why that first slide, I wouldn't use that as a real comparison. This is comparing fall to fall. And as you can see, broken down further by ISI, plus 189, elementary region 1, plus 28, elementary region 2, plus 111. Middle school region is where we see the reduction, 1,134 students. High school is where you see the reduction regained, 1,708 students, and charter schools plus 1,681. We have, I believe, it was supposed to be 3 new charter schools opening up this year. One chose not to open, to push their enrollment, their opening date to next school year. So as we are moving forward, we're looking at now our D&E students and contacting those students to work on where they are or why are they not enrolled. They could have moved out of state, they could have moved in state but did not withdraw, do appropriate withdrawal code. So now that's what we're focused on, looking for those unenrolled students and where and how do we re-engage them if they are currently still in Duval County.
Dr. Green, can you say what DNE is?
Oh, did not enter. DNE, sorry. So, but they show and they are enrolled, but they did not enter school on the first day or any time during the first 10 days of school. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Green. We are now on to the public comment portion of our agenda. The school board welcomes your comments on matters that are before the board for consideration. It is not the board's intent to respond this evening, but to use the input in our deliberations. To give everyone appropriate respect and courtesy, we ask the audience to refrain from audible comments or applause. I did not stop you all earlier because I had not read that part, but I want to be sure that you understand we want to maintain appropriate decorum. Please do not applaud or make audible comments. When you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When the green light in front of me starts blinking, you will have a minute remaining. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds remaining. When it turns red and the buzzer sounds, your time will be up. If your concerns exceed that time, you may present written comments to the board. Board Policy 2.26 provides for an orderly and efficient meeting without disruption by words or actions. You are asked to refrain from references to specific individuals and to follow expectations for civil discourse. Any speaker or audience member that does not comply with these expectations will be subject to warning and removal from the meeting. In an effort to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19, we have placed hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes at the podium. We ask that each speaker wipe down the microphone and podium before they address the board. As a reminder, the CDC currently recommends that facial coverings are worn while in public if you are in an area of substantial or high transmission, regardless of vaccination status. Please remember that speaker cards were only accepted until 6:20 p.m. Thank you for taking the time to address the board. Vice Chairman Willie.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 23 speakers for this evening. We will start with Frank DeLong, followed by Alicia Seguin.
Frank DeLong, Chairman at IBW 177. Dr. Green, members of the board. I'm here tonight for two reasons. One, to praise, and the other is to shed light on an issue. First of all, we have a member retiring with almost 29 years of service. Dr. Green, he is, as you referred to, a superhero without a cape.
Please don't refer to any individuals by name specifically. Okay. Thank you.
He is an essential personnel. His name is Irvin Jenkins, or EJ. To us, EJ retires at the end of this month. He never lays out or abuses his time. Because of this, he's able to sell back 480 hours of his vacation time. After that, he has accrued 30 more days, which he planned to use at the end of this month and then go silently into the night. Because of this practice, it is allowed by our contract. He put in his request for those days and was accepted by a supervisor. The director of infrastructure then denied it, along with the superintendent of technology, saying he was a critical need person. Now, this has never happened before. Yes, I know it's in the contract. However, there are many supervisors and other critical need employees that have been granted this exception. So why are we not allowing EJ to do the same? It shorts him around $4,000. Now, addressing the essential personnel shortage, that's a self-inflicted wound. The director of infrastructure has had 3 quit, one when they took over from maintenance, which we never had complaints until now. 2 of them quit approximately 9 months ago, each with 15 years experience. And we had 3 more threatening to quit since the last 2 quit, which have now, those jobs have still not been posted. We're already short. The union negotiated sub-jobs, which has not been posted. Lots of wasted time, and now it's important so that the time we know when he leaves that position will still not be filled. The only thing I can say is, please let EJ take his leave and overrule the superintendent of technology. One day, you or someone you know is going to do the same thing. The look now is that the school board screws over its employees who have dedicated their life for this place, and this is how we're going to treat them when it comes time for them to retire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLong. Next, we'll have Alicia Seguin, followed by Alonia Wilson.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that if we can identify someone that speaks out loud and does not remain quiet during the meeting, considering that's part of our governance protocol, that we would, if we're able to identify them, they need to step out or be asked to step out.
We'll do one warning, and then we're going to ask you to leave, okay? Please refrain from audible comments and applause. Go ahead. I apologize for the interruption. Your name, please.
My name is Alicia Seguin. I'm an RN BSN with 6 years experience. I have graduate level epidemiology, public health, and statistics. I'm here to speak out against the mask mandate. I withdrew my son from Crown Point Elementary, and he is now in private school because the money is going to follow my child. I want to address a couple points that you just made. First of all, you are not in compliance with the law. The law says that the parent has the right to opt a child out, not a doctor. By requiring that doctor to sign that paper, you're taking the power away from the parent. Second of all, All you do is focus on cases. You ignore the natural immunity that goes along with those infections. Delta is more infectious. You're going to have more cases. The recovery rate remains low. It's 99.2% right now in Florida. It's 99.7% for those under 70. It's 99.9% recovery rate for children. I want to disprove the argument that my healthy child is putting other children at risk by not wearing a mask. This is based on the lie of asymptomatic spread. This is one of the most important papers we have from COVE from China. 10 million residents in Wuhan, nucleic acid screening. 300 asymptomatic cases were identified. There were no positive tests. I repeat, no positive tests amongst 1,174 close contacts of asymptomatic cases. This indicates that the asymptomatic positive cases detected were unlikely to be infectious. Zero positive tests. Face masks do not work. Most studies found little to no evidence for the effectiveness of face masks in the general population. July 2021 experimental study published by the American Institute of Physics found that face masks reduce indoor aerosols by at most 12%, not enough to prevent infections. 2015 British Medical Journal found cloth masks were penetrated by 97% of particles and may increase infection risk by retaining moisture or repeated use. To date, the only RCT on face masks against COVID infection in a community setting found no statistically significant benefit. We have a study in Nature, June 2021, claimed that masks reduced the risk of infection by 62%, but the study relied on numerous questionable modeling assumptions and self-reported online surveys. The doctors that are recommending masks are ignoring this evidence. They are doing so for politically motivated reasons. Real-world data, 37% increase in cases in schools that have mandates. They're ignoring the real-world data in favor of studies that are based on models. Models do not trump real-world data. Real-world data is the best evidence we have. And I encourage all the parents who know I'm speaking the truth, run for school board, replace every member that voted yes for the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seguin. Next, we'll have Alonia Wilson, followed by Carnell Oliver.
Good evening. My name is Alonia Wilson, and I am here today to speak to you about your sexist, racist, and homophobic dress code. Your dress code falls underneath those categories, and I have a question for you, board. Does my body right now distract you? Do my shoulders? Does my stomach distract you? I know you guys may or may not have seen the protests going on at Douglas Anderson and in the news, and I am here to speak to you about that. Growing up, I am considered a plus-size kid. I am black, I am white, I am plus size, and I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and the fact that your dress code affects those people who are just like me is sickening. I have been called a whore, I have been called a slut, I have been called a prostitute by the teachers in your system, and I've had enough. My friends have been in the same situation as me, and I'm here to speak for them. Your dress code affects minorities. I have just stated this. It affects minorities. Now, you have students worried about you putting us in uniforms because you want to silence us. Teachers are silencing us. Teachers are ripping down our posters. People are stopping our protest. We are going to keep protesting until we see something different. And as you can see, I am standing up here very agitated because I am sitting behind people who are laughing, who are talking. It's disrespectful. So now I'm up here, angry. And I will always be angry because nothing is being done here. We are being silenced. You are getting to our emails and saying that there is a possibility that you will get to our messages and you are not really listening. Now, My final thing to say is on your mask mandate. Now, the same people who are raising their hands like this, I want you to know you are probably the same people who say, my body, my choice for a mask. But you are the same people who are saying, your body, my choice when it comes to abortion. And I'm going to speak on it because it's fact. So, board, I appreciate your time. I really hope you start paying attention to our emails, our phone calls, because guess what? Every time there is a meeting, I will come up here and I will speak. And I will talk until something is done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Next, we'll have Carnell Oliver, followed by Grace De La Rosa.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, my name is Carnell Oliver. I want to speak very clear about something. With the whole COVID-19 taking complete control of our community, we're losing out on the progression that has been taking place in our community dealing with the sales tax increase or the surtax dealing with our school system. There's something that's taking place in the community that I feel very strong for, Brentwood. The school is closing, but there's an opportunity for it to become a community center. Our priorities and our attentions need to be focused on the gains that we can make collectively here in our community. You have done your job in our community. We're trying to protect our kids in our community. People who show up protesting that they're violating parents' rights, I think that you need to take a good look at, do you want your kids to learn their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s? You need to put your focus back on what is important. Not the things that people raise Cain about, but to put the focus on how you're going to implement the sales tax and how fast are y'all going to get these school buildings up. And I want to see exactly what Brentwood is going to really look like. I have a vision. I have a purpose for that center to have universal athletic programs, and I want to see a library run along with all kind of different programs that can coordinate with that community, become a real asset to that community. But COVID-19 is just a moment in our time that we should not overlook the progression that we can make for our future. So I support our school system doing what is in the best interest of their staff, number one, because how's your child going to be able to learn how to read? How's your child going to be able to learn their 1, 2, 3? There are some parents in some communities that can't even read themselves. So they purposely have to send their child to school. For all those that have an issue about that mask mandate, if you got the money, you got the education, then you homeschool. But do not interfere with the operation of what the foundation of education is. And I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Next, we'll have Grace De La Rosa, followed by Marissa Overcash.
Hi, good evening, school board members. My name is Grace De La Rosa. I'm a holistic wellness consultant. And mental health is one of my most important topics here that I'd like to talk about. Young lady talked about the clothing. We're talking about masks and the opt-out options for our parents, not the doctors doing that for us. And this is all tied in with lived experience and mental health. I'm really concerned about our young students in particular in terms of their mental health. You know, what I'd like to do is to be able to see that we prevent our young children to have to go through what we're going through today. You know, and that is actually keeping an open mind, listening to what everybody has to say. Never mind the data, because lived experience is so much more important. We know when something works and when something does not work. I don't need someone to tell me when something stinks. I don't need data to tell me how far I need to be to something that stinks, that doesn't work. We all know when something works and doesn't. And right now there's a lot of upheaval because things are not working. You know, yes, let's get back to the foundations of school and why we're here. We're here to make sure that our students are able to read and write. You know, 100 years from now, at the rate that we're going with data and our computers and things of that nature, our kids don't even know how to sign their names with a pen. You know, they might be able to print, but do they know how to do cursive? You know, our Declaration of Independence is in beautiful cursive. 100 years from now, our future generations will not even be able to read and decipher what we and our founding fathers have had to share with all of us. Vocational education is extremely important. I'd like to see that come to fruition so that people that don't want or need to go to college have an opportunity to be able to live well for themselves. You know, my number one goal is to make sure that we see our children be autonomous and be able to live a life on their own and to think on their own. Toxic versus non-toxic relationships should be taught in school so that, again, they have the wherewithal to make the decisions for themselves. The way kids are dressed or can express their thoughts and feelings through the dress code. You know, a lot of the things that the young children are talking about today was the same things that I dealt with, you know, not being able to wear spaghetti straps to school or cute little tank tops and things. We are in Florida. There are always exceptions to rules. It's very hot here. And in Hawaii, I remembered when I lived there, the kids were allowed to wear flip-flops to school. You know, one of the laws in our state is not to be able to wear flip-flops while we're driving. Isn't that crazy? It's one of the old laws that should probably be abolished eventually. But anyways, I digress. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Ms. De La Rosa. Next, we'll have Marissa Overcash, followed by Ashley Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Overcash. I just want to say that what you are doing and implementing with this mask mandate is a direct violation of the Duval County School Board policies and procedures. You are bullying and harassing the students and parents of this community. The definition of prohibited harassment per your rules is illegal harassment that has the purpose or effect of creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work or academic environment. Students are harassing other students. Teachers and faculty are harassing other students for not wearing a mask. This is absolutely absurd and not acceptable. Bullying and harassment based on actual perceived identity, religious beliefs, or disabilities. Students with disabilities forced to wear a mask. Students with disabilities forced to be taught with someone wearing a mask. You are violating your own policies and procedures, and it's enough.
Thank you, Ms. Overcash. Next, we'll have Ashley Peterson, followed by Katie McNeil.
Hello, I'm Ashley Peterson, and as a resident of Duval County and a parent, I was very disheartened and upset by what I witnessed during the emergency board meeting regarding the decision to move forward with the 90-day mask mandate for Duval County Public Schools. The decision was made despite the executive order in place, despite the public comments from a number of concerned parents who believe that medical decisions for their children do and should continue to rest with them alone, and with advice from a very one-sided panel of medical experts with not a single contrarian invited to bring balance and perspective to the discussion, when there are many just as credentialed and respected who have spoken out against mandating masks for children due to the fact that the known harms outweigh any potential benefit. One of the experts selected to attend was openly condescending and dismissive toward the multiple studies that anti-mandate, not anti-mask parents repeatedly brought up in regards to the lack of evidence supporting mask efficacy, but just as obviously didn't have any idea how the mask he's touting as effective really work. To help make up for that lack of understanding, which many people seem to struggle with, several experts were recommended and made available to the board after the emergency meeting took place, and there's been silence from leadership on allowing additional expert testimony, including expert perspectives from PPE and anti-mask for children medical experts. From an outside perspective, it seems that leadership wasn't interested in reviewing all sides of the issue in order to make an informed decision, but rather sought out opinions that would reflect and support their own bias. And because of that, the Duval County Public School Board has moved forward with a mandate that treats all children as potential vectors of disease based on a faulty and incomplete understanding of how the virus is transmitted, why masks are not an effective, reliable mitigation method, and ignoring existing best practices and recommendations from professionals in HVAC, industrial cleaning, and environmental controls. Why are masks the only mitigation measure under discussion when tactics like increased ventilation measures taken in all spaces, especially high-risk areas like bathrooms, UVC, needle point ionization, or high-grade filtration, measures that are known to impact aerosol transmission, ignored? Because muzzling children to have the optics of doing something is easier than actually investing in the systems that could really make a difference for their health, not just with SARS-CoV-2, but with other known issues like RSV and the flu. If you think you're defying only DeSantis' most recent executive order, you're mistaken. You're also ignoring federal and Florida statute. Students are required to be placed in the least restrictive educational environment, juggling that delicate balance between an absolute laundry list of qualifying exceptionalities. An educational environment must comply with federal IDEA least restrictive environment LRE designations in segments 300.114-300.120 subpart B. LRE requirements state that a student must have the maximum amount of what is considered the most normal and least interfering environment for the child while considering the impact of a given child's need on a classroom. Additionally, Florida statute 1000, I'll submit the rest via writing. But
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Next, we'll have Katie McNeil, followed by Callie Orick.
My name is Katie McNeil. As a school board member, you may feel like DeSantis is putting pressure on you. You may bristle at the idea of him telling you you can't mandate masks. Whatever feelings of overreach you're experiencing, that's how the parents feel about you, but tenfold because it's their children, not yours. DeSantis is not overstepping. He is putting the power of choice in the most local of hands, the hands of parents. His executive order still stands as the appeals process plays out. Today, you are in violation of the law. If the state decides to withhold funding, it better come out of your paycheck, not some other place in the budget. We all know how tight the budget is since sales tax had to be raised. I think it's telling that the last time the board only invited doctors that they knew would recommend masking. Why wasn't one contrarian view invited, I wonder? I provided 2 experts to speak this evening, but I believe the superintendent has refused to allow them. Last time, one invited doctor claimed that because the flu disappeared, masks work, despite the fact COVID did not. Clearly, that doctor does not know about viral interference, where one virus inhibits the growth of another. If this happens across a wide population, one virus can temporarily displace the normal seasonality of other viruses. The flu disappeared globally, including in countries that had very low mask wearing and where children never wore masks. It is very important to acknowledge masks don't work because arguing over this point wastes time and resources while actively harming children. Most school districts have a COVID dashboard. The data is available to anyone, and I encourage you to verify what I'm about to say is true because it is. As of this second, Hillsborough, Alachua, and Palm Beach counties, all of which require masks, have more cases per student than Duval. The following mask-optional counties have fewer than us: Gadsden, Polk, Clay, and Nassau. Last year, the 4 schools with the highest cases per in-person students all required masks. Counties last year that had very high cases per students so far have low cases this year. And many counties that had really low cases per student have higher cases this school year. For example, Putnam County last year was worse than 3/4 of other schools with masks required. This year, with masks optional, Putnam County has lower cases than all but 2 districts. There is zero correlation between mask policy and cases. These are facts. This isn't a model or a study. This is reality. Paper and cloth masks are not filtration devices. Aerosols, microscopic particles that float in the air for hours that you breathe into your lungs are what cause spread. And you're breathing right now through your mask. You're breathing in air everyone in this room has exhaled. Their mask does not filter. Your mask does not filter. What will improve outcomes is to decrease the viral load through air circulation with fresh air. Miami-Dade is doing this. HVAC systems run for 2 hours before and after school is open. and occupied. Improved environmental technology, including enhanced air filtration purifiers, ionization systems, and upgraded AC units are what they are using and what Duval County should do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McNeil. Next, we'll have Callie Orick, followed by Brenna Freeland.
All right, hello, my name is Callie. Hello again. First, I would like to say that there's an existing Florida law, in case you all didn't know, that's unrelated to DeSantis's Florida Statute 1003.573. This law states that school personnel may not use a mechanical restraint or a manual or physical restraint that restricts a student's breathing. So that's another law we're in breach of. You should also know that when the board members, knowingly break the law, which you've all been warned now, you lose qualified immunity and you will be personally liable for all attorney's fees. You cannot use taxpayer funds. So you can fact check me on that. I just want to close with, I oppose the introduction of the new dress code policy for obviously many reasons. It's a double standard to penalize students for not wearing a mask when it's actually against the law for the school board to mandate masks in the first place. It is unacceptable to demonstrate to our children that doubled standards are okay and acceptable in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Orick. Next, we'll have Brenna Freeland, followed by Tia Bess.
Hello, my name is Brianna Phelan. I go to Douglas Anderson's School. Was I supposed to start speaking? Louder. Sorry. Hello, my name is Brianna Freeland, and I go to Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, and I'm here to talk to you about the dress code. In the student code of conduct, it says that the dress code is applied equally throughout the genders, but the clothes that are dress coded are found in the women's section. When you go looking for spaghetti strap tank tops or tops that show midriffs or shorts that are dress coded, those are found in the women's section. 84% of students that are dress coded identify as female, and Black students are 5 times more likely to be dress coded than their white counterparts. That means people like me are more likely to get dress coded than my other male white counterparts. As a student of, so many students that came to me throughout the week told me how they feel sexualized. Like my friend, they were told to take off their jacket when they weren't dress coded with the jacket August 26th because the teachers thought that they were going to get out of dress code for the protest, when that was not the case. And they were made to miss their class, which they had a math test in, because they were made to get out of dress code. Sorry. It is very embarrassing, and it makes me feel horrible that I've been dress coded and been made to miss class time that can be deemed unworthy of my class time and my education because of what I'm wearing. Because I decided to wear shorts in the Florida heat. God forbid somebody sees my thighs as if they haven't seen anybody in a bikini. That's it. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Freeland. Brianna Freeland, thank you so very much. Next, we'll have Tia Bess, followed by Ted Macy.
Well, I'm back again, everybody. This is my 3rd school board meeting. I do want to say that I've noticed a few of you board members touching your faces, moving your mask, and not sanitizing. So also be mindful of that. If you won't do it and you're adults, what makes you think 4, 5, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, they don't do it. They don't properly take care of themselves. So lately the environment has been, in this country, rules for thee, but not for me. What about our children? What about our kids that have special needs? I come here every time and talk about the same thing. Are you listening to the parents that are in underserved communities with special needs? I come from 32209, 32210, 32254, 32208. This has been my home for 25 years. Jeb Stewart, Eugene J. Butler. But now all of a sudden y'all care about us? We have schools that have toilets that are still broken, not enough books, 3 kids to a school bus seat. Where's the money going? You know, you guys got to stop moving the goalposts when it comes to signing that medical mandate. Of course, you say that medical providers can sign it. Do you know that because of your decision, all of the pediatricians are strong-arming? No one will sign our paper. It cost me $125 a child to have that exemption signed. There are some pediatricians that are not doing it for autism. There are some pediatricians that are not doing it for asthma. It's like pick and choose. Right now, finding a pediatrician that has the courage to speak up and not be bullied is like finding a needle in a haystack. And you guys aren't getting that side of the story. Yes, there's 2 signatures, but we have to pay for it this time around. Last year, I was a mom, a lunch lady, a principal, a speech therapist, an occupational therapist, tech support for Florida Virtual School, and I am tired. And nobody's listening to us. You're not sending social support services to the parents in the community that need it. And by the way, your laptops do not work. Enough is enough, and this is the taxpayers' money. That's our money. We pay for your salary. There are people who would do your job for free, and they have more compassion in their pinky than some of you have. And no disrespect, but you guys aren't following the surveys that we gave you. You know, we need help. My son relies on reading lips. My son, he's on the autism spectrum. He has sensory issues. And there is an amount of money that I would pay to make sure that he's able to go to school, to be able to speak. You know, the sweetest thing my son said to me was, "I love you." He said it at the age of 4.5 because he was nonverbal. There isn't anything that I will not pay. There isn't any school board meeting that I will not go to speak up. And that's my time. May God bless everyone. Everyone that's speaking here tonight and everyone at home, please do your research.
Thank you, Ms. Best. Next, we'll have Ted Macy, followed by Ross Garrellis.
Good evening. First, I want to say I'm happy to hear you guys have children's safety, and that's your priority. So I also hope in the spirit of picking and choosing laws which you want to adhere to, I'd hope you'll ignore the medication administration guidelines that you guys have, which is glucogen, diastat, epinephrine, which are the only emergency injectable medications that can be administered in schools by nursing or trained school staff. My 2 daughters rely on steroids daily, and if anything happens, they aren't afforded the same treatment. So if you do believe in the safety of the students, I highly recommend that you ignore your Duval County law that I just read from. And if my child goes into crisis, that you can administer an injection for her and my other daughter. They're the same thing. I also echo everybody here with the mask. And also, sorry, I just came from a run. I didn't even realize this was happening. So I'm very unorganized. But so if you are going to require kids wear masks, they should be supplied with N95 with one-way valves and have them be test fitted like we do in the military. So I highly advise you do that as well, because if you do care, that one, yours is decent, but it needs to be sealed and test fitted. And then it also has to be interchanged daily, because after a while they're also deemed contaminated. And I have a lot of time left, so I'm just not going to keep rambling. Take that into consideration, especially with the shot thing. If you can pick and choose, at least do one that's going to directly save a kid's life. And that would be much appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Macy. Next, we'll have Ross Garrellis, followed by Melissa Bernhardt.
Good evening, school board. We'll do something a little different tonight. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, Ezekiel's given a vision by God, and he's placed in a valley of dry bones, starting with verse number 7. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, son of man, and say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says, come, breath, from 4 winds, and breathe into these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood up on their feet, a vast army, like we have in this room tonight. Then he said to me, son of man, these bones are the people of Israel. They say, our bones are dried up, and our hope is gone. We are cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. my people, I'm going to open your graves and bring you up from them, and I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am Lord when I open your graves and bring you up from them. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I have done it, declares the Lord. This book right here, the living, breathing Word of God, is woven into the very fabric of our nation. We have many great freedom-loving Americans here in Duval County. We've been given life and breath by the grace of God to push back against the overreach of this board. Forced masking our kids is unacceptable. Pushing this vaccine, this dangerous injection through your Vax of Kindness campaign is totally unacceptable. Using our kids and our teachers as a political pawn in a game is totally unacceptable. What little credibility that you had left 2 weeks ago during that emergency meeting was shattered when you allowed a Marxist masquerading as a pediatrician to bring climate change into a mass discussion. We will not allow tyranny and lawlessness in Duval County. We're going to replace each and every one of you that voted for that, and we are done. Done.
Thank you, Mr. Garrellis. Next, we'll have Melissa Bernhardt, followed by Debbie DeCipio.
Good evening, board members. My name is Melissa Bernhardt. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight for the public comment. I'll start with Commissioner Cochran's letter. The law is being broken. Thank you very much for reading that and restating it for us. As far as the response to the letter, did I hear any reason to be exempt from the mask? Because that would be my reason of saying no. But I don't think any reason is being accepted. I think you guys are wanting doctor's notes, and doctors are intimidated by pharmaceuticals. I watched online at the emergency meeting 2 weeks ago that ran late into the night. Most of us had already left to go home and take care of our children. I honor the board members who didn't get home late that night to probably even kiss their children goodnight. But late in the night, ta-da, doctors were pulled in, lawyers were pulled in, or lawyer, I'm not sure if it was plural. I have become to know several doctors and several lawyers. When do we the people get the same unlimited time to share the truth that has not been paid for by Big Pharma? The CDC pays for Big Pharma research. It's in their favor to give the results that they're going to prescribe medications that's going to make them money. It's all money. If you want to put all your faith in the CDC, how about the recent quote that I just pulled from their website? The CDC statistics, meanwhile, show children generally do not spread COVID-19 and have little risk of adverse effects. The seasonal flu is more deadly among children than COVID-19, and the swine flu 1 decade ago was 6 times more deadly. So that being said, people are afraid that children are going to spread COVID to the adults. In this room, there is an adult who recently spoke at an event who had the privilege of giving away a gift basket. That adult was not masked. That same adult is laying down the law that these children are contagious. No, actually, it's the adults that are contagious. So I employ anyone, commissioner@floe.org. If you are being bullied, if your children are being bullied, if as a parent you feel bullied by the school, by their own rules, I encourage you to email him. Also, you can CC momsforliberty@gmail.com. I'll ask parents to add the subject title, rights, parents' rights, mask bullying. Any of it will work. The PCR test, it can have false negatives and positives, and that is why this vaccine got out so quickly, because they can gear them to not have a positive.
Thank you, Ms. Bernhardt.
I regret that I have no more time to speak, unlike the doctors.
Next, we'll have Debbie DeCipio, followed by Scott Mann.
Hi, my name is Debbie DeCipio. Can you hear me? Louder? In your open letter to Governor DeSantis, you stated that you had abundant testimony from the community and from local physicians and other licensed healthcare workers regarding the need for a mask mandate for all. However, you failed to mention that you did not have one physician who spoke against mask mandates or even addressed any negative effects of children wearing masks. Not one physician volunteered that mandates were an emergency. In fact, they only said yes, that it is an emergency in response to Ms. Anderson's question, is this an emergency? And Dr. Goldhagen, who came to speak, it appeared on his own behalf, was asked at the last minute, it appeared, to be on the board, the panel of doctors. Dr. Goldhagen stated, amongst many things, that women in burqas teach their children just fine, meaning their children can't see their faces in relation to masks. That's just, I can't even describe. And he said their children have no problems learning. He compared children born blind to sighted children and how they learn. I don't even know how you make that comparison. He also stated that that children have no negative effects from wearing masks all day. And he also talked about climate change. You state that this policy is temporary. However, all the restrictions put in place in early 2020 were meant to be temporary. Many states still have many restrictions. Remember, flatten the curve. You state this policy is going to be temporary. I don't see how you can stand by that. This is a parental rights issue. Parents should make medical decisions for their children, not you.
Thank you, Ms. DeCipio. Next, we'll have Scott Mann, followed by Sean Collins.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Scott Mann. I'm a parent and in District 4. I'm a licensed architect and former planning commissioner. Currently, I work nationally and globally as an educator. I've taught building code analysis in the past, and I've been a designer and project manager on many different types of buildings, from mixed use to hazardous materials, retail, planning of healthcare facilities, offices, schools, theaters, manufacturing. And as an architect, whenever I stamp and sign a set of plans, I have a duty and a legal responsibility to protect the health and human safety of people, of occupants in the built environment. When we are designing these buildings, we have to follow many standards, and these standards are codified into law under the building code. One of the standards that we follow is the ANSI ASRI standard 62.1, ventilation for acceptable indoor air quality. Now, there's many references in this standard. Many technical papers. One of them is the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, which outlines pollutants, pollutant types, exposure times, exposure type, level, and form. Now, this is very important to understand. And whenever you're requiring masks, you are going to fall under the United States Occupational Safety and Health Administration standards, specifically standard 1910.134. You're not following these standards in your rule. There are procedures and protocols around wearing masks. Now, one of the technical papers referenced, published in Scientific Journal, is human breath emissions of VOCs. And this is the big issue that we're trying to control in the built environment, that are volatile organic compounds. And there is a physiological burden to wearing masks. So I know I'm going to run out of time here. Wearing masks increases. There's about 17 VOCs outlined. And another thing that we do in the built environment is we spend, well, I guess ask yourself, why do we spend billions and billions of dollars as a country on the design, development, and implementation of ventilation systems and the development of building products, adhesives, carpets, and finishes to reduce VOCs in the indoor environment? And it's because we spend billions of dollars treating people who have become sick due to these pollutants. I have a long list of sicknesses that are outlined and referenced in these codes. So I don't know if you were aware of these things. The law that you're running into isn't just about masking, it's about OSHA, it's about safety standards. And I think that the parents really should stand up for their children to prevent the abuse that's going on here.
Thank you, Mr. Mann.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Sean Collins, followed by Kennedy Murphy.
Everybody can hear me? So, is it obvious yet that science is not on your side? Because everybody sees that, right? Everybody knows how to read, right? So, I have 2 children, okay? And we moved here recently from Texas. And I regret that decision because of people like y'all. Now, I took my son in, I signed the opt-out form, and the teachers continued to put a mask on him, okay? Continued to put a mask on him, all right? I went and got the medical opt-out. Today, I contacted the principal, continue to put a mask on him. When are y'all gonna step in and do your jobs? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. It's not y'all's decision to decide for our children. They're our children. They're not your children, okay? And when I first came here today, you know, it's amazing to me, okay, how you stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance like you were true Americans. You're not. Doing what you're doing and disrespecting our Constitution and the reasons why our country was founded, you're not Americans. You should be ashamed of yourself, okay? You should be ashamed of yourself, okay? The last part, okay, of our Pledge of Allegiance, do you know what it is? Liberty and justice for all. That's what's coming to us, okay? Justice. Justice is coming to us.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Next, we'll have Kennedy Murphy, followed by Gary Desjardins, or Mr. Gary.
Hello and good evening to you all. My name is Kennedy Murphy. I am a sophomore at Stanton College Prep. I would like to use my time on the floor to discuss the current dress code in DCPS. I've made a petition to reform the DCPS dress code, which now has over 1,600 signatures. Here's what my petition discussed. The current dress code promotes an ancient victim-blaming mentality, which is dangerous to both young boys and girls. However, this could be easily formed by creating more progressive dress code. The DCPS dress code attempts to limit distractions in schools by creating limitations on outfits. One of these rules that creates limitations on outfits is removing halter tops, tank tops, backless tops with thin or no straps, or tops that show midriff and expose the body are prohibited. The problem with rules like these is that while they may come across as gender neutral, these restrictions are specifically targeted at girls' fashion items. As a result, young girls are targeted significantly more often than boys are for dress code violations. Additionally, this forces female students to wear uncomfortable clothing in hot weather. Adding on, the DCPS dress code promotes victim blaming. By telling the girls to fix their appearances rather than telling boys to take accountability, a harmful mindset of victim blaming and rape culture erupts in our schools. When a girl is raped, people often ask, what was she wearing? Dress codes like the DCPS aim to prevent sexual assault by making girls wear more modest clothing. The idea is, by having girls wear less distracting outfits, they will be safer. However, according to a study by a federal commission on crime of violence, only 4.4% of rape cases involve the victim indulging in provocative behavior. This clearly demonstrates the entire purpose of the dress code is mute, as preventing girls from dressing provocatively does nothing to prevent actual rape. The only thing the dress code accomplishes is making girls feel more ashamed. Furthermore, the petition demands to allow students to wear tops and show their shoulders, including spaghetti straps. It allows students to wear tops that show midriff, allows students to wear shorts shorter than the current rule up to the edge of the fingertip, within reason when the weather is above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and to get rid of the fear of or actual body shaming and unnecessary discipline. Overall, the dress code should frame itself on the comfort of the students. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Next, we'll have Mr. Gary, followed by Paul Gardner.
Thank you and good evening. Just a little bit of context for really the theme behind my message to the board. I have two kids who are in high school. One of my children went to a private school up into the age of, up until the grade of second grade. That particular school got a blue ribbon accreditation, and so their curriculum changed in the second grade. Unfortunately, that curriculum was not a good match for my son. As he fell behind, the teachers and the administration first said, well, he must have allergies, so go get him checked for allergies. That's his problem. He can't concentrate because he has allergies. So first-time parents, what do? We go get him checked for allergies. No allergies. So then they say, well, he has to have his tonsils out because he can't concentrate. So we go to a pediatrician and they say, oh yeah, that'll help. That'll help his concentration. Didn't help. If I had it at the time, I wish I had. Here's an article from NIH. Study found cognitive abilities did not improve compared with children who did not have surgery, and researchers say the findings don't mean surgery is automatic first choice to give a child more cognitive abilities by taking out their tonsils. So we got them tested cognitively, which is what the school should have recommended in the first place. I feel sad for my son because I took it on faith and trust from people who I thought would know what they're doing. Saving grace, however, which is somewhat ironic, we put him in Duval County Public Schools. I have to thank the teachers and the program that helped him, the 504 program. He went from just, I think a shell of a child. Now he's gone, he's in middle school, or excuse me, high school, and he got to a point where he has been an A student up until the last 18 months. The last year is brutal. My son is striving to hear and listen and pay attention in class behind these things and those things. If I had it on, a mask. How do you think a child in a 504 plan is supposed to learn? Sensory things. But we didn't have the board or our guidance counselor reach out to us and try to ameliorate that. And with our situation, I approached the guidance counselor and the principal for a waiver given the 504 plan. And I was denied the ability for my son to go to school without a mask given his learning disability. That's on you guys. You have a great program. You've handicapped us as parents. Sadly, you've handicapped the exact kids that you had the 504 plan for. I feel bad for you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Next, we'll have Paula Gardner, followed by Rebecca Santos. Is Paula Gardner here? Okay, we'll have Rebecca Santos, followed by Tom Kiska.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Rebecca Santos. I have a daughter who's 16 in Mandarin. And as I entered the building today, I had a certain request to the lady in the front.
And she said, I can't do that because it wouldn't be fair. So let's define fair, shall we? Fair, as an adjective, is defined as consistent with rules, logic, or ethics in a proper or a legal manner. I have some concerns because you guys are disobeying the law. You're disobeying the law with very little, if any, consequence. What kind of example is this to our kids? Because if I disobey the law, there's consequences, right? Not only are there consequences, but I can go to jail. So what's good for you is good for me, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's what we teach our kids. If they disobey this mandate, they get suspended? Really? We want to preach my body, my choice, right? Everybody loves that rule. But when it comes to going to a public school system, which is taxpayer paid, it's no longer my body, my choice. It's what's good for you is not always, what's good for me. And so you guys live above the law, unfortunately. And you use this wonderful excuse that the CDC recommends it. But the CDC is not a governing authority. They have no authority over any of us. They are privately owned. And if anything, they have proven that their protocols kills people. Remdesivir kills people. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, which has been shamed by anybody that uses it, saves lives. I have experienced that firsthand. So, if it is about protecting the vulnerable that is in the community, I understand that. But if the masks work and the vaccines work, then they can mask up all they want. See, she's taking her mask off. And they can vaccine up all they want. Why are we pushing that on our kids and having vaccine clinics at our schools when they have killed more kids than the COVID virus itself? Ultimately, guys, the choice is yours, right? You're the board members. The choice is yours. Ultimately, you will, all of us, 10 out of 10 of us die, we all will report to God. That is our governing authority at the end, and we all will pay account to God.
Thank you. Have a nice,
so I pray
have
for
a nice evening. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Tom Kiska, followed by our final speaker for this evening, Rachel Murdoch.
I'm Dr. Tom Kiska. I'm a natural health care physician. I'm a primary health care physician. I'm a chiropractic physician. I practice clinical nutrition. And I came to the emergency board meeting last, 2 Mondays ago when I heard about it. What I saw from the meeting, obviously there's an increase in the cases and it's concerned in our community. We know it was an unknown virus long ago. Now it's a known virus. We have a lot of science behind it. We know that it doesn't really affect the children as much. We're not really worried about that. It's really the seniors. So yes, we should get out there and really protect our seniors as much, but obviously do our due diligence with our children. What I saw with the meeting was I saw a bunch of opinions. I saw a bunch of really emotion from both sides. The doctors who wanted were in favor of the mask, the mothers who were not in favor of the mask, everybody. But I think the board made its decision really based on emotion, and I think we really need to recheck that. In research, and I've read a lot of research. What we see is there's a gold standard, and there's a gold standard of a double-blind, placebo-controlled study, and it was done by an internal medicine group, and it was published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, and it was 6,600 patients. It is just the gold standard. What I saw, nothing else really. That just basically says, look, the masks that we're all wearing are ineffective against the virus. It's just plain and simple. I come from a pharmacy background. Before I went into natural health care, I did undergraduate, I did microbiology lab. I did graduate school microbiology lab. Every university in this country does not. We go into the microbiology lab, which is viruses, which are much bigger than, or I'm sorry, which are bacteria, which are much bigger than a virus. And we're not walking in there with masks. We're walking in there with aseptic technique, very good technique. We're not wearing masks. It's ineffective against a bacteria, so therefore it's hugely ineffective against a virus. And that's what the Dan Mask study showed. And if we're going to act like, I believe this is a Board of Health. I'm regulated by the Florida Department of Health. When they tell me to wear a mask, I will put a mask on immediately. They have never issued that to any physician group, and I ask my medical doctor friends that too. So if the Board of Health is not given this direction, I don't think the school board should give this direction, especially not to our children who are not really affected by this. It could kill me as a 60-year-old parent. And by the way, thank you for your service, and the teachers do an incredible job. But this is, I've kind of got lost on this one, but we really are acting as a Board of Health, and we are not getting this direction from the Board of Health. So if so, then I've watched this experiment, and we have masks all over the school, masks all over the streets, masks all over. We should have sanitary.
Thank you, Dr. Kiska.
It's a biohazard thing if we're going to. Thank you.
Final speaker for this evening is Rachel Murdoch.
Hello. Our children deserve better. We're mixing medical pursuits with educational pursuits. If we want to research something, I challenge you to research what the oxygen level is when we have nothing covering our faces and when we have a mask covering our faces, and the side effects of that. Today, I witnessed, in an unusual circumstance, the air conditioning system was not working in one of the schools, and because of the mask mandate today, all of the children were masked. They were lethargic. They were, my child had headaches, really bad headaches. So let's look at those facts, that observation. I know it's an unusual circumstance, but how many hoops do we have to jump through to say no as a parent, no to masks? And I know that the data, flu season is coming up, and it's true. The data is going to show increase, right? Because flu season is real. So I just want to say, please heed to the letter from the commissioner. My heart was full of joy in hearing that information, because it is our right as a parent. And it's a conversation we have at home. It's not a conversation that other people should be having authority over my child. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murdoch. That concludes our speakers for this evening.
So we've had this conversation. We are going to get on to the rest of our business this evening. Please refrain from audible comments and applause as we conduct the rest of our meeting. If you'd like to go ahead and leave, that's fine. We'll make time for that. We are now on to comments from parent organizations. Is there anyone here from a parent organization who wishes to speak? Ms. Hawkins from the Duval County Council of PTAs. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. We have been, as DCC PTA, we have been very busy reorganizing and rechartering PTAs and PTSAs in our schools. So far, Baldwin PTSA has reorganized. Rains High will be reorganized next week. We'll be working with James Weldon Johnson Middle School and Westview Elementary School this week. to help them get started. One of our main concerns this year is to increase our memberships and work in our schools. We held a workshop on August 31st with Parent Academy, and it was the importance of volunteering in our public schools. We had a video clip shown at the beginning that told the beginning of PTA and why volunteers were so important for this organization. We not only focused on parents, but also grandparents, business partners, aunts and uncles, and other community members to become volunteers in our schools. On September the 18th, DCC PTA will hold its first workshop for our officers, and courses will be offered not only for presidents and treasurers, but our historians, reflections, local units, and member hub. This will be virtual. We have added a student representative this year to our board of managers. He was able to attend our Florida State PTA convention this year and bring back information to share with the students in our middle schools and high schools. He will work alongside our student leadership chair this year. We feel like it's very important for our students' voices to be heard, and we are looking forward to this program this year. He will also be a part of our Student Leadership Academy, who will be helping with our chair do that, and we are hoping that we can do that in person. The Reflections program will be kicked off and will be underway in our schools very soon. We are asking our PTAs and our PTSAs to ask their music and art teachers to help encourage our students to participate. This year's theme is I Will Change the World By, and we are excited to see what the students will submit with this theme. We have, until further notice, all of our Board of Managers and our general meetings will be held virtual because we feel like we need to do everything possible to keep our members safe from the spread of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Is there anyone else here from a parent organization? I don't see anyone. Moving on to comments from district, no student government association, although we are looking forward to having them back. Comments this evening from employee organizations. Is there anyone here from an employee organization? In that case, then, we are on to the approval of minutes. That the Duval County School Board approve the minutes for the meeting listed in the agenda item. May 18th, 2021, Policy Handbook Review Committee meeting, July 20th, 2021, committee meeting, and July 20th, 2021, board workshop, July 20th, 2021, special board meeting, litigation shade, July 21st, 2021, special board meeting budget, July 28th, 2021, special board meeting budget. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chairman Willie, seconded by Board Member Jones. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote.
Madam Chair, it seems like there's a technical problem with the voting system. So Board Member Jones, Board Member Joyce, Vice Chair Willie, and Board Member Pearson, can you register a voice vote, please?
Board Member Jones.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes.
Thank you.
By your action, you have approved the minutes 7-0. Do you want us to log out and log back in?
Yes. If you could go completely out of the agenda system and log back in.
I'm not really sure how to do that.
Yeah. Just go completely out of it.
Go ahead, log out.
Yes.
I copied you. I copied you. What's Kelly doing?
Good. Already logged out and logged in.
I was like, Kelly. Oh my gosh. I was going to shut down the computer.
You have to leave the meeting.
First,
Yeah, or it'll kick you back. At least that's what it did to me.
Just leave it and then join again. Just leave.
Yes.
And then join again.
Okay, on to item number 15, approval of consent agenda. Are there any additional items to place on the consent agenda or items for discussion? Seeing none, I call for a motion.
So move. Second.
Moved by Vice Chairman Willie, seconded by Board Member Jones. Is there any discussion? Okay. Then I call for your vote. Did yours come up?
Madam Chair, we're missing Board Member Jones and Board Member Joyce.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
voice vote for consent?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. By your action, you have approved the consent agenda 7-0. We are on to consent with comments. We'll start with our operations, real estate planning and programming resolution regarding consolidation of administrative offices. Board Member Hershey.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight this and give hopefully other board members will say something. We started this process back in December. Many people before us have had a conversation about getting the board off the river and expanding the tax base for the citizens of Jacksonville, and passage of that resolution tonight puts us one step closer to that possibility. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Board Member Hershey. Other comments? Dr. Coker?
Through the chair, I would just like to thank Board Member Hershey for her leadership and efforts in this piece. Having been a part of this district for about 30 years, we've seen this conversation come and go. She has been steadfast in trying to find an avenue for us to move in this direction. And again, I just thank her for her efforts and remain hopeful that we can move forward potentially with this.
Thank you, Dr. Coker. Other comments? Board Member Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo Dr. Corker's comments. Lori, Ms. Hershey has been a leader in this, and the city has always wanted to get these non-tax paying entities off the river to put the property on the tax roll. It benefits the school district as well. So I think it's a good opportunity to look at this. Of course, I always remind people that we're not going to use the half penny dollars to move or build a new building. So I just want to add that and thank Lori for her leadership.
Thank you, Board Member Jones. Any other comments on this resolution? Vice Chairman Willie.
Yeah, I think it's always, anytime we can look at taxpayer dollars and try to figure out how to make the most of them, I think we have the opportunity. So thank you, Board Member Hershey, for bringing this, and look forward to seeing what comes of this conversation and these actions. Thank you.
Any other comments? Board Member Pearson.
Again, thank you, Board Member Hershey, for getting the conversation started and bringing it to an action point on this. I'm looking forward to seeing what our consultants can come up with and seeing where we land, because I think the community has clearly spoken that they want us to leave here, and I'm for that. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we land.
Thank you, Board Member Pearson. I just want to be clear that the resolution we passed tonight is for an invitation to negotiate. So I guess I will put a shout out to anybody who has land or wants to build us a building at a reasonable rate to the taxpayer, to be on alert. I'm grateful to the consultants and all of the work of our facilities team in getting us to this point, and I'm excited to see where the conversation goes and what happens moving forward, of course, in the best interest of our students, always at the forefront, and of course the taxpayers. So I'm excited to pass this resolution this evening and get this process moving on down the road. Next on our consent with comment, we have operations, facilities, project design, construction, and maintenance. For the new Rutledge H. Pearson Elementary School, selection of the construction management at risk firm, RFQ number 25-21. Board Member Hershey.
Thank you. I had originally put this on for discussion, but I did speak with Mr. Soares this afternoon or late this morning, and he gave me an answer, and I said, "Did you say that at the workshop?" And he said, "No." I said, "Because I understand that." And I liked his explanation, and the thing that concerned me was I think that it's important as we went through with the half-penny sales tax, we continually talked about dollars in Jacksonville and creating jobs. And so I had a concern, and he said, you're not the first person to ever call me and ask me this question, but he explained to me what the process was, and he didn't explain that at the workshop. And just for education of the public, if it's okay through the chair, I would like for Mr. Soares to explain how that works so that everybody understands that local people do actually kind of get a head start in this process. It was helpful to me this afternoon.
Sure, Mr. Soares, are you prepared to have that explanation here this evening? Thank you.
Through the chair to Board Member Hershey. Yeah, the award tonight is for construction management at risk contract to Ajax. That award is based on the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act and represents less than 10%. It's typically a fee of 6 or 7%. There's pre-construction services. 90+% of the work remains to be bid out. So that's going to go out, predominantly that type of work, when they bid that work out and build their guaranteed maximum price, does go to local firms. The whole procurement is really driven by the Competitive Consultants Negotiation Act, which places an emphasis on local firms. Points are awarded if your firm is local, if it's in the county versus in the state versus out of the state. Your use of local contractors and subcontractors are guaranteed points. The OEO plan, which is worth 15 points in the award, provides points for use of local subcontractors, use of local labor. So there's an emphasis in that. Likewise, it also requires firms to report how much local work they do have, so that once a firm does get an award, keep in mind there's 27 or so schools being built over the next 15 years. So as these come out and are awarded and the local firm wins and gets work, then they're less competitive to the other local firms. So it tends to focus on local and then try to spread the wealth out to as many local firms as possible. And that's the Competitive Consultants Negotiation Act, and that covers both design and construction. And that's kind of what, when you do an RFQ, that's what you operate under. When you go hard bid, which we're currently not doing, then it's all based on price, but the RFQs are not. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Soares. I appreciate that explanation. Did that pretty much cover what you were?
Like I said, he didn't. I asked him if he shared that at the workshop, and he said he didn't. And I just thought it'd be helpful for the board members to have that information as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Hershey. Any other comments on the Rutledge Pearson project? Okay. Moving on then to our discussion agenda. Approval of facial covering suspension criteria pursuant to an emergency rule of the Duval County School Board. Dr. Green, would you please read your recommendation?
That the School Board of Duval County, Florida, accept the attached criteria developed in consultation with the Florida Department of Health, Duval, and other local medical officials to automatically suspend the board's emergency rule during the 90-day period. The rule is in effect.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Board Member Hershey, you pulled this item for discussion. If you want to kick this off.
Yes, we heard a lot of comment tonight about parents' concerns regarding masks and specifically the penalty of suspension. And at the emergency meeting, there was conversation about putting, I'm going to use, I think I heard, putting teeth in the opt-out. My concern is, I believe that suspension of a student, I saw the form today, for a student regarding the mask is just going to further divide this community. I think it clearly will send a signal to Tallahassee and further that divide as well, and clarify that we are not aligning with current state statute. I just have grave concerns about passing this policy for the dress code and suspending students for not wearing masks. I understand that there are a couple of steps that people go through before they get there. I did have someone reach out to me today, and a student was told that if they didn't bring that form back and sign tomorrow, they would not be allowed in school. I checked with Dr. Green. She said that wasn't true, but again, I just point out some inconsistencies. Anyway, I'm just very concerned about this being a suspension. I had reached out and spoke with Dr. Krisner earlier today, and I know it was kind of a last-minute question, but my question was, how many students do we typically suspend during a school year for the dress code? Were you able to?
Yeah, I can answer.
Okay, Dr. Green.
Through the chair to Board Member Hershey, it's 0. We've had 0 students suspended for dress code.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
In-school suspension, but you asked suspended.
For suspension.
And I don't mean to interrupt you. I really don't. I just want to make sure that I'm clear and that we are all clear. Item number 28, approval of facial covering suspension criteria pursuant to the emergency rule of Duval County School Board. The item is actually suspending the rule, not suspending students.
But it wasn't that in the student code of conduct? Weren't we changing the student code of conduct?
That is not what this item is.
Madam Chair, do you want me to read the emergency board rule?
Well, can I ask a question? Was the wrong item pulled?
I'm sorry, was the what?
Was the wrong item pulled? Because I thought we were making changes to the student code of conduct.
No, ma'am,
And
I'm
that was
not
suspension.
aware of another item. The only thing that I was aware of is that at the August the 23rd board meeting, we had asked the superintendent to come back and present criteria, which she did a presentation earlier tonight, that would allow for the suspension, automatic suspension of this emergency rule. And that's the only item related to masks that I'm aware of for tonight.
Do you want to explain the item that we have before us here?
Sure. So if you look back at, and I'm just looking at a copy of the emergency rule that was approved by the board. Section 4 of that rule says further action required. The superintendent shall develop procedures to be approved by the board on September 7th, 2021 that provide for certain health data points to result in an automatic suspension of this emergency policy while such policy is in effect. And I think, again, during the superintendent's report, she presented the criteria, which involves, if it falls within a moderate range, then there would be an automatic suspension of the emergency rule.
Which would mean that the masking requirement under the emergency rule would be suspended, not that any students would be suspended. And I hate to cut you off, I just want to make sure that for the
No, I
sake of
appreciate
the
that
public, we're
clarification, but I
clear.
thought we had something on the docket for changes to the student code of conduct, which included suspension of students. I'm looking at the form that I was sent today that students are giving. I'm reading through that. Let me look at my... Was that not on the docket? Did I miss that?
Not that I'm
Or did we get...
Board Member Joyce, did you have additional comment?
I do. So I was under the same impression as Board Member Hershey, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from, or I've gotten a lot of feedback from the community about the suspension and what's going to happen to students who are not wearing a facial covering. So if we're not approving that, at what point are we going to approve that? Or is that an item that's going to come before the board?
I think that Dr. Green might be able to speak to the discipline process under the Student Code of Conduct. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to clarify that. And I apologize if anybody thought that the item was related to student suspension. It's really
I thought we were
suspension
doing something
criteria
with
for
the
the
student code
rule.
of conduct, and I,
Dr. Green, did you want to share anything, or do you have any additional information to share about dress code violations or what the discipline is for that?
Through the chair to the board, currently in the code of conduct, there is, by occurrences, and it does lead up to suspension for dress code violation. The mask policy falls under dress code. Therefore, we're following the same, if you want to say, occurrences or consequences listed in the code of conduct as it stands today. So under the first occurrence, the school will provide a face mask to the student. Student will complete the face mask safety contract with mask expectations. That is the same contract we used last year under the code of conduct for facial coverings. The second occurrence, the student coded as a 1.06 nonconformity to general code of appearance, which is already in the code of conduct. Parent contact, parent conference, whether that parent conference is virtual or in person. Third occurrence, student sent to discipline office, student coded with a 2.01 failure to adhere to safety consideration, could be in school suspension 1 to 2 days. Fourth occurrence, student coded for second 2.01 failure to adhere to safety consideration, could be out of school suspension 1 to 3 days, parent conference encouraged. These are also inside the code of conduct. So we are, because it's listed under dress code, we use the same level of consequences that other dress code infractions can lead to.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And while we're here and you're speaking, would you share with us remind us from the earlier presentation what criteria we've gotten from the Department of Health in our collaboration in suspending the rule, which means that students would no longer be
that
under
we would reach the moderate level, which would be anywhere from, I want to say.
There it is.
I think you. I've got to get back to my sheet.
It's up here. Look how quick they are.
From 5 to 7.9% positivity rate. And I had another slide that showed it's a 7-day rolling average. I had another slide that showed that when we started school, it was like at 23%, that blue line, and at the end of last week, we were hovering about 13 to 14%.
Can you clarify that this percent positivity is a community
Yes.
number or a school district?
It is a community number.
Thank
The
you.
school district is not isolated because they do private schools, charter schools. The Department of Health does all schools, so we chose the community rate because that is what is tracked. It isn't tracked by school district.
I just wanted to make sure we were crystal clear with that. Thank you so much.
well, I appreciate that clarification, and I apologize. I really did think that we were adding something or changing something to the student code of conduct in that. And so my question is then at the emergency meeting, was that kind of qualified or clarified or put into place at the emergency meeting last month?
So when we had the emergency meeting on August 23rd, we went through writing the emergency rule. We looked at section 4, which allowed for the superintendent to come back with a provision for suspending the rule. And then we included a paren in the dress code amendment that also referenced back that the dress code was in effect unless the emergency rule is suspended based on community health data. So it's all connected there. I do know that there was conversation about wanting to move forward out of this emergency rule land to something more permanent and reliable and stable, and I do think that we will be able to move forward with that as soon as possible for the community. But at this point, I think, we all understand that masking kids is not where we want to be. Dr. Green.
To the chair, to Board Member Hershey, I think on social media, everyone thought that this item meant suspension related to students, because the way the item reads. I can't speak it verbatim, but it says something, suspension of masking rules, and I think when people read it, they thought it was related to the dress code and that we were automatically suspending students out of school.
It says approval of facial covering suspension criteria.
Yeah. So,
Pursuant to an emergency rule. So it would be confusing if you haven't read the full item report. Board Member Joyce, I saw you put your finger up.
Yeah, so I would, I have some concerns about this. First and foremost, if we get to a point and we approve the moderate level of community, positivity rates, and we take masks off, COVID's not going away. The expert that you guys brought in said this is the beginning, and we haven't even seen the worst of it yet. So what's going to happen when the board wants to come back and mandate a mask when those numbers go up if we're taking masks off of children? So I think we need to ask that question because I think it's important. I also wanted to just, say this because I think this is important as well. When I looked at the numbers, and obviously when we close the school down, you can't track how many parents, you can know how many parents opted out of the school, opted their student out, but you can't really know like what classes they were associated. It's hard to track. But when we have elementary school classes that are closing, and I think we said we had 76, as a teacher in Focus, I could go in and look and see what, if my child, in my classroom, if there were 3 children whose parents opted out, I would be able to know those 3 kids have opted out. And I have requested information from the district to say, of these 76 classrooms, can you tell me how many students have opted out in those classrooms? Because I'm interested. Could we have classrooms that all of the students had masks on, and for some reason the virus was transmitted and they had to close the classroom? I mean, I think this is important information as we move forward as a board, because as we know, COVID is not going away. And we have very divided opinions about, and from the medical profession, about what children should be, they should be masked or not masked. And so I think this is a good time to have a conversation about, if we suspend this, what does that look like in the future? Are we going to have another emergency board meeting to bring it back? And do we have classrooms where all the students were masked and they had to shut the classroom down? That's important information for the board, in my opinion.
Thank you, Board Member Joyce.
Can I ask a question?
Vice Chairman?
Yeah, to that, are you saying that we should be able to see in focus that, are you requesting data? That's my first question. Are you requesting the accurate data, what you're speaking of?
So if I have a classroom from Chimney Lakes,
Right,
and the 5th grade classroom was shut down, that teacher went to remote learning. Those students went to remote learning. The only information I want to know, I don't want to know how many people tested positive. I don't even know why we get there. I just want to know how many parents of the students in that classroom filled out an opt-out form. So you have 2 students, and they are in a classroom in Duval County Public Schools. You, I'm assuming, did not fill out an opt-out form. So in that classroom, if there are 20 students, did all of them fill out the opt-out form, or did none of them fill out the opt-out form, or did one of them fill out the opt-out form?
For correlation purposes.
Exactly. For what moving forward and the decisions that we have to make about masking students, I think that's an important conversation to have.
Did you have additional, Vice Chairman?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good data to have, but it's probably inconclusive because someone could get COVID outside, bring it in, and that's why you have masks. So I think it's interesting data to see if there is a correlation. But with this, I have an additional question, and because Dr. Green, you did mention that you were back and forth between moderate and low. I would love to just get some information. You said Department of Health was one, and then your board of doctors. So I just want to get more information on what that conversation looked like.
Through the chair to Vice Chair Willie, I'm sorry, I'm confused. What do you want to know what the conversation? Why one group
Right,
suggested
correct.
low? I think for the doctors, their goal was to get to the lowest possible positivity transmission rate. And for our work, we partner with the Department of Health. And Mr. Rubio, who's here.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Rubio.
He may have wished I didn't let him know he's here. But Mr.
Again.
Rubio, who's here, in conversation with the Department of Health, felt moderate was a place that we could, because we are having more of our students, whether people agree, are being vaccinated for those students who meet the criteria for vaccination. And we also, when you look at last year, when things were going in a positive direction, that's about where we were between that positivity rate. And that is why I chose to moderate, even though another group suggested that we go to low.
Thank you, through the chair. And one last piece there, because I appreciate that explanation. I think to Board Member Joyce's point around what is the signal to our school community? Yes, 7-day rolling average, but is it an email? Is it a official notice, a meeting to say like this is now lifted? And then if we vote on this today, what does that mean? We would have to have another emergency meeting to come back in. I know at this point I don't see any language that says if we go back into substantial or high, it automatically goes. So just wanted to get clarification on that as we vote on this tonight as well.
So really quickly, I'm going to interrupt because we had this robust conversation during the emergency meeting, and there was a consensus to take out the language to reactivate the emergency rule. And so at this point, there is no mechanism for reactivating. The hope or the intention is to be able to get something more permanent in place as quickly as possible so we don't live in emergency rule land. But I would like, Dr. Green, if you wouldn't mind responding to the first part of Vice Chairman's question.
Through the chair to Vice Chair Willie, I think, I hope I
What's
remember.
the signal? The
Yeah,
signal
the
or
communications.
to the, yeah.
As I stated, there isn't a dashboard that we won't create or desire, and if nothing else internally, we will create a dashboard so that we know if we're getting closer to that 7-day percentage, but we get that information actually from the Department of Health. And that's why I put up the chart that shows, each week it's been going down. I think the way we notify our community about everything, we'll send out a Connect Ed message to all our families. We may add to our dashboard. I'm not going to look in the direction of people who build our dashboard to add that little section. What is the current 7-day rolling percentage rate, so that people want to know that information. They can just go to the dashboard. If it pleases Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to address Ms. Joyce's question. Ms. Joyce, when you sent the email, I said Mr. Colbert's team is figuring out how to match these two different databases. They have to take what's in focus is not the same thing what we put on that dashboard and how we get that information to that dashboard. Because of private student privacy, only our nurses see that information. And he is working on and believes he's found a way to connect the two to give you that information. I think I said in my email that he's working on it, and as soon as it's available, we will make sure each board member, as a board, will receive it.
And I guess I was unclear because we know what classroom is shut down, right? We know that. We know that it could be Ms. Smith at Chimney Lakes, her 5th grade classroom. That's the classroom that is on virtual learning. In Focus, a parent had to fill out an opt-out form to not have a mask. All I want to know is how many students in that classroom is on remote learning, their parents filled out an opt-out form. That's the only information that I want to know. And if I walk into the school building, the teacher knows who's opted out, the administrators know who's opted out, and so I just don't understand the difficulty in getting the information to the board, because everyone in the school knows if that child has opted out or not. If that classroom has gone to remote learning, those classrooms are 25 students or 20 to 25 students, and they're the same students. How many of those students, parent, filled out an opt-out form? I don't even know, I don't care what their names are. I just want to know how many students in that classroom that has gone to virtual learning, their parent has filled out an opt-out form.
Yes, I think we were miscommunicating, because I thought you wanted to know the students who had a positive.
No.
Did they have an opt-out form?
No, ma'am.
And how to connect the two.
Just how many parents filled out
Okay.
the opt-out form in that classroom.
Then that is, well, it's still, somebody can run that for you. I was
It's a little
connecting positive with opt-out.
I appreciate the clarification, and it sounds like we'll be able to get that data moving forward. I know Board Member Pearson had a finger up, and then Board Member Jones.
Yes, so just through the chair, I want to clarify Board Member Joyce's question to make sure that we make a distinction between the opt-out form that was on Focus that was valid through Friday versus the medical opt-out that's now in place and
as of today.
As of today. And so I just wanted to give Board Member Joyce an opportunity to put some parameters if she wanted to on that. The other is that, and I feel like I almost didn't say this, but I am going to say it again because I keep saying it, is that just because a child didn't have an opt-out form doesn't mean they were wearing a mask. In my mind, that's how it would have worked. You either wear a mask or you sign the form on Focus, and it would have been one or the other. But what I was hearing a lot of from teachers and school administrators is that there were people who were not wearing masks and not willing to do the opt-out, so just because 3 children in Ms. Smith's class had an opt-out form, I don't know that we can assume that those were the only 3 children not wearing a mask in that classroom. So however you're going to apply that data, I'm putting it out there that I received several emails from teachers who were saying that they had students who were not willing to mask and not willing, or parents maybe, not willing to mask and not willing to opt out. And that has been my frustration, because I think what we had should have worked and could have worked, and that's where I've been living. I liked the Focus form and where we were going that way.
I can confirm anecdotally, one of the classrooms in my area closed when a group of students got together to take a picture and took their masks down, and it resulted in several of those students testing positive. So I don't know whether there would have been an opt-out on file, but it's interesting to see the stories and cases kind of across the district. It's shocking.
So just for clarification.
I see Board Member Coker's hand up and Board Member Jones, but quickly.
Just for clarification, we have 76 elementary classrooms that have closed. I would really like the information on how many students in that classroom, their parent opted them out. Through the data we have currently.
Board Member Jones and then Dr. Coker.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to Dr. Green. When you look at a rolling 7-day average, I just want to make clear that that means that positivity rate would have been within that moderate range for at least 7 days before we would suspend, or you would suspend, the mask mandate. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Board Member Jones, that is correct. It has to go a rolling average for 7 days. So it's one day it could be here, next day it drops down, but it's the average over 7 days.
Okay. So that gives parents assurance that it's not going to be one day it drops in the moderate, and next day up, and then
Right.
we're right back where we were.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Jones, Dr. Coker.
Through the chair, I want to concur with my colleague, Board Member Pearson, that I heard an awful lot of anecdotal information along the same lines about masks not being worn regardless of opt-out or opt-in and whatnot. So I, again, while I do believe that Board Member Joyce should have the data that she's requesting, I caution us in interpreting that data as strict, whatever, in terms of what's on the form that comes to us. That being said, I do want to thank Dr. Green because I was one of the board members who did push that. I wanted us out of emergency rulemaking, that we needed some criteria, and I didn't want students to wear masks ad infinitum for 90 days if the positivity rate came down. I did take, when she sent the agenda item out and we got the metric of up to 7.99%. I went onto one of the cities, the dashboards, and started moving around with it week by week. And I was able to find a 20-week stretch where we wouldn't have needed masks. Now, I recognize that's the old variant, there's a new variant and all that. I found another 14-week stretch where masks would not have been needed as well. Again, a different variant, so caution on numbers and all those kinds of things. But I really appreciate the fact that Dr. Green went and worked with the expert. And when I went back, I saw that if the data play out in the way the data have played out in the past, and again, they may not, different variants, but we would have accomplished our goal of the masking when necessary, but not having masks when unnecessary.
Thank you, Dr. Coker. Is there any further discussion on item number 28?
Can I just clarify what we're voting on, so I
Yes.
vote the right way?
Yes.
I just want to make certain, and again, I apologize if I misinterpreted this. I did look at it. I thought it was, like I said, going into the student code of conduct, didn't realize that had already been done. But this vote tonight is to identify indicators that would suspend the emergency rule. So a yes vote on this means that we approve the indicators that Dr. Green has established to suspend the emergency rule that was passed in August.
Correct.
I just want to clarify and make sure I get my vote right. Thank you.
Okay, any other further comments? Item number 28. Okay. In that case, I call for your vote.
Madam Chair, did you call for a motion?
I thought I did before we got to this.
Move approval.
So moved by Board Member Jones, seconded by Vice Chairman Willie. Usually we do that and then speak. But we spoke, so I'll call for your vote.
Mine is still not working. Yes for me.
By your action, you have approved the facial covering suspension criteria for the emergency rule, 7-0. Okay. Now we are on to public hearing. Public hearing and vote revisions to Chapter 6 Board Policy. Dr. Green, would you please read your recommendation?
That the Duval County School Board conduct a public hearing and vote to adopt the recommended revisions to the following policy in School Board Manual, Chapter 6. Policy 6.83, Employee Conduct.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to policy 6.83? Seeing no one, I We'll close the public hearing. I ask for a motion to approve. Moved by Vice Chairman Welly, seconded by Board Member Pearson. Is there any discussion or comment on policy 6.83? Seeing none, I call for your vote.
Yes.
By your action, you have approved policy 6.83 on employee conduct, 7-0. Moving on to public hearing and vote revisions to Chapter 8 board policies. Dr. Green, please read your recommendation.
That the Duval County School Board conduct a public hearing and vote to adopt the recommended revisions of the following policy in School Board Manual, Chapter 8. Policy 8.59, naming or renaming schools.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Public hearing for policy 8.59, naming or renaming schools, is now open. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to policy 8.59? Seeing no one, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Coker, seconded by Vice Chairman Willie. Is there any discussion or comments among the board? Seeing none, I call for your vote.
Yes.
By your action, you have approved policy 8.59, 7-0. Item number 18 on our agenda this evening, board member travel, that the Duval County School Board approve and confirm the travel listed below for official business of the district and that it complies with the rules of the State Board of Education. September 13th, 2021, Kissimmee, Florida, FSBA Platform Development Training, Board Member Pearson. September 16th through 18th, 2021, Atlanta, Georgia, NSBA Cube Conference, Jones. September 22nd through the 24th, 2021, Kissimmee, Florida, FSBA Policy Governance and Bargaining, Pearson, Coker, Joyce, Anderson. October 6th through 8th, 2021, Fort Myers, Florida, FSBA Board of Directors Leadership Development Training, Anderson, Hershey. October 20th through 24th, 2021, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Council of Great Cities Schools 65th Annual Fall Conference, Coker, Joyce, Pearson, Jones. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on board member travel? Seeing none, I ask for a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Jones, seconded by
Second.
Board Member Pearson. Excuse me. Coker, did I say that before? I apologize. We're almost there. We haven't done travel in so long. I call for your vote.
Oh, there we go.
By your action, you have approved board member travel 7-0. Item number 19, superintendent travel, that the Duval County School Board approve the following superintendent travel: September 22nd through the 24th, Orlando, Florida, FADS 2021 Fall Leadership Conference. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Joyce, seconded by Vice Chairman Willie. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. By your action, you have approved the superintendent's travel 7-0. We are now on to for the record. Board Member Jones, the lucky eye contact.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just have a couple of shout outs. I just want to thank the Yellow House, Hope McMeth, Tanita Kitchen, and Christopher Clark for painting the beautiful murals at Pinedale Elementary School. The students, when they arrived at school this year, and when I went to visit, she couldn't wait to show me those murals. And the students really, they're very vivid, they're clear, they send a very positive message, brightens up the entire campus. So I just want to thank them. And the same thing occurred at SP Livingston Elementary School. The Art Center Gallery sponsored that particular mural, and it was done by TAC2 Union Studios. And it too was a very positive message. The train education is on the road, and the train is in the hallway, and it's beautiful, and it really sends a positive message for those students, and I really appreciate them. And last but not least, I want to thank Dr. Royce Turner. He is always, the first day of school, he's at the door, greeting the students, assuring the parents that the kids will be all right, assuring the kids when the ninth graders are a little concerned about the first day of school that, hey, you go down this hallway, go to this room, and they'll tell you where to go. I mean, he does that every year, and he greets them with a smile, reassuring the parents and the students that they're going to have a great year. And I just want to thank him for that. I think that's commendable for what he does each and every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Jones. Board Member Pearson.
I had the opportunity to visit the 22 schools that I represent in District 3 in the first 2 days of school, which was a bit of driving. But I also got to volunteer 2 mornings at San Jose Elementary and in the car line at Spring Park Elementary. And I just wanted to say thank you to the principals, administrative staff, and faculty at the schools that I represent in District 3, but generally in DCPS, for launching the school year. And under difficult circumstances, I saw a lot of smiling faces. I saw a lot of enthusiasm. I saw a lot of problem solving happening. And in a number of my schools, it was happening in multiple languages. And I have to say I felt pretty useless in some situations. I wish that I had taken Spanish in high school instead of Latin, because the Latin really didn't help. But I was just really, really impressed. We had district staff pitching in, and I was so thankful for the ESOL staff who were working at San Jose Elementary, because they were doing the real help, and I was their assistants. But wanting to thank our principals and other staff for scheduling and rescheduling and enrolling at the last minute and dealing with all the different things that have to happen in order for school to start under, like I said, kind of unusual circumstances, and really being there for the kids and for the parents, and they have done a tremendous job launching the school year.
Thank you, Board Member Pearson. Board Member Hershey?
It's hard to believe we've been in school for about a month. It seems a lot longer than that. But the first day of school, I was at Twin Lakes Academy Elementary and witnessed the long car lines out on Point Meadows Drive. I know that Chief Burton has probably gotten a lot of calls and from schools and traffic. It seems that fewer people are riding the bus this year, and more people are driving. I think traffic's gotten a little bit better in my area, but there's still a lot of traffic. I was not good. They placed me at the family farewell zone. And when a parent said, "Can I walk my child across the street and stand in line with them until they get to the door?" I said yes. Because I have 4 children, and even though they're older, I remember what it was like to be that parent. And I was the parent that, we would walk our children to class the first day of school. That seems like the good old days now. And the first day of school, I was also able to be at Greenland Pines, where I worked with some other teachers, and we tagged backpacks to help with dismissal. I just thought that was the coolest thing. Different colors, you knew who was an extended day student and who was a car rider just by the color of the tag on their backpack. And I actually got to substitute for a little bit in a classroom at Mandarin Oaks Elementary. The first time I had ever been in a classroom where there were English language learners. And the cutest thing was there was a first grader in the class who said he speaks a different English. And my Spanish, my dad told me to learn Spanish better than I did, and I did not heed his advice. So my Spanish is limited, but it was a great experience because I know Board Member Pearson mentions it in her district, and it's throughout all of Duval County now. We have so many English language learners And it's a whole different ball of wax to be in the classroom when you cannot communicate with every student. That was a very eye-opening experience for me. I was exhausted after a few hours. I don't know if I could have done it all day, but it was a lot of fun. In October, Twin Lakes Academy Elementary, we will be hosting a farm share event, we hope. We're trying to nail down that date, and I will tell you more next month. Just want to say we can't wait for parents to be able to be back in school, because Loretto Elementary really wants to highlight the great technology that they have and they've been waiting for a long time. And we're hoping to be able to have a open house sort of event to get people in our community to see the good things happening at Loretto with their choice option for technology.
Thank you, Board Member Hershey. Board Member Coker.
Yes, so first off, I want to do a rethanking of Ms. Walsh and Ms. Suddeth from Lake Lucina Elementary for being here this evening and showcasing the incredible work that goes on there. I don't know about y'all, but I've got the Be Happy song running through my head still. And so again, just thank you to both of them for their leadership and the work they do, and all the staff at Lake Lucina who make it a special place. I want to thank all of the principals and teachers in District 1 and school leaders and cafeteria workers and everyone else. The schools I visited, everyone was just happy and good, and despite a little curveball being thrown to us at the beginning of the school year, they were making things happen for the children in District 1, and I for one am very, very grateful. I want to also, continuing in my renaming efforts, want to make sure the public knows that we received another incredible donation from Marty Fiorentino, and we're grateful to him for helping. We have almost closed this down, which means that all of the efforts, all of the renaming costs will come from donations, and there will be no taxpayer dollars that will be used in that effort. So we're almost there. We're still not quite there, but we're close. And then my final thank you, want to make sure I say thank you to Mr. Suarez and Ms. Schultz. As we opened school this year, you two both dealt with teacher shortages, bus shortages, cafeteria worker shortages. I've never seen a year in nearly 3 decades in this business where there were so many shortages facing your two areas, and yet you all continued to go after it. I will tell you that principals are, grateful for all of the teacher positions that have been quickly hired. I know that we had bus issues, and Mr. Suarez, I am grateful. There were a ton of them in Ocean Way, and you somehow have solved them. I don't know how, but I'm very, very grateful. I have talked to more constituents out there about it, and they anyway. And one of them, I have to say this, one of them was a military Afghanistan veteran, and Mr. Suarez, as a former military person, personally called the dad. And that's what it's all about. And he doesn't know that I realized that, but the parent called me and told me about it. So just thank you to the two of you. You had an incredibly rough road this year, and I appreciate all your work in making things happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coker. Board Member Joyce, nothing for the record this evening. Vice Chairman Willie.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Just want to, first of all, just thank all of the staff in this room as well as our staff of our schools. What an abnormal opening of the year, but I think our teachers and our staff are trying to make it as normal as possible. I'm riding this roller coaster just like everyone else as a parent of 2 kids in. We've had to quarantine for a while. We understand. We go through these ups and downs, but we also put faith and trust that our schools are going to keep our kids safe, and I do. So I appreciate all of you for that. A couple of quick just thanks and announcements. Thank the Jaguars and Place 60. Long Branch got selected for a hometown grant. It's a really big deal to do some pilot work there with their students. Also want to thank the African American History Task Force who we saw up here earlier. Those folks dedicate their time. They volunteer to do this work, and they're putting in amazing strides to increase what our students can learn and what our staff can learn in our schools, as well as the Writing Institute was absolutely phenomenal this summer, so thank you for that. Last 2 pieces, there was just an amazing event for a young man named Talon at Andrew Jackson High School. Young man who got bone cancer in 2019, 26 some odd surgeries and chemotherapy. It actually came back this year. They put him into hospice. He was supposed to be in 11th grade. His last wish was to go back to Jackson, see his friends, and just hang out for a day. And the principal and the staff in here, just Tammy Talley, just made it happen. It was the absolute most emotional thing I've ever been involved in a school. He can't walk, like he's right there, got in a golf cart, cheerleaders there, his ROTC friends, the coaches, everyone cheering him on for that final piece. And it was one of his final pieces because he recently just passed away just a couple of days ago. So just thank you. Schools are, Dr. Green said it, schools are more than just places where you get book smarts. You build community, you big friends, relationships. And I saw it happen right there, and it was just a powerful moment. His mom and his dad and his family were just so thankful. And all we could say was, we can't thank you enough for allowing you all to share this moment with us. So just had to just make sure folks knew about that special moment that Talon had, and rest in peace to him. And I'll end mine for the records with that.
I don't know how to follow that.
Yeah.
Our heart certainly goes out to that family. Loss of any of our Team Duval members is never easy. There is no good segue, but I will say that September is National Suicide Prevention Month. So I definitely want to draw some attention to that. I know our school behavioral health team is doing a lot of work promoting awareness and information and education. So I want to say thank you to the district for promoting that. This has been a really hard time. It's going on too long. We're at 18 months. Our pediatric inpatient hospitalization for behavioral health and suicide attempts continues to be up. This is a really, really, really difficult and challenging time for everyone. So please be aware of the symptoms, get educated about how you can help intervene on behalf of somebody who might be considering taking their own life. I also want to announce that we will have a farm share event at Abbas Park Elementary School on September 25th. So if you or someone you know is in need of food assistance, please come out and join us. I want to acknowledge that Jacksonville Beach Elementary School has been recognized as a Florida PBIS model school. And congratulations to that whole team. I know that they've got a lot of hard work going on over at Jax Beach, as do all of our schools. And then I want to say thank you, and I'm sorry, to all of our schools, administrators, teachers, and families, that this has been such a challenging start to the school year. I don't think any of us take it lightly, that the decisions we make impact you and create an additional burden on the way you run your schools, your classrooms, and of course, certainly in your homes. And so I apologize, but we are so grateful for your dedication, your commitment, for your choosing to be part of Team Duval. My words of wisdom for September is from Benjamin Franklin: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And with that, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Joyce, seconded by Vice Chairman Willie. All those in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.